Radio was really do-it-yourself television. Instead of a big, ugly glass picture tube, you saw the performers in your own mind. You were not restricted by the boundaries of a 21-inch tube, but instead painted your own big-as-life version of each moment with that loving, creative brush we call imagination.
Hello and welcome to the intro episode for Niagara Spot, all things city and culture. I am your humbled host and front person for 14-piece brass band My Son the Hurricane, Jacob Bergsma, and this is City and Culture. On today's show, we have a great one lined up here. I have the inside scoop on some highly anticipated artists coming to town. In Niagara Falls, I'm speaking with Rafik Guirguis about Eric Stolhansk, better known as Rabbit, from popular movie Super Troopers, doing some stand-up comedy at Taps Brewhouse. In St. Catharines, we're speaking with Jordy Yack from the First Ontario Performing Arts Centre about 90s icon and big-time funny man Louis Anderson. He's in town this week, too. And the Spoons. Do you remember the Spoons? In town this week, just after the break, we're catching up with Eric Disckson at the Warehouse Concert Hall. Before we get to that, though, big story in the news this week regarding a judgment on a dispute between a New York City property owner and a group of graffiti writers. The place is called, or was called, 5 Points. A lot of people are saying that this is setting an example worldwide in respect to the value and significance of graffiti writing. On the surface, the story seems pretty cut and dry. Guy owns some property in New York City. Eventually, it becomes subject to a handful of graffiti, and at some point he thinks, hey, I'm going to make a handful of money and tear down this building to build something new. And then he does that. But there's more to it than just that. So let's start with 5 Points. We know it's some building in New York City, but check this out. This is a clip from an interview with Mears One. He's an organizer at 5 Points. This is from the early 2000s.
5 Points is the only legal aerosol outlet in New York City. It is 200,000 square feet, one city block, 5 industrial floors. At any given time, there's between 350 to 400 pieces on the entire building, which is covered top to bottom. We get artists from not only all over the world, but all over New York and all over the United States. They come here. Some of the pioneers, some that I looked up to when I was a young buck. One good thing about 5 Points to me is that it kind of conveys that like pure essence of hip hop. Any given day, you could either see a piece being done, you could see MCs getting down in ciphers, you know, just for the hell of it. You could see breakdancers getting down. And I think that's cool. I think that's what gives it such a fresh feel that you can't really get anywhere else in New York City. The content of graffiti art and the size and the scale of our canvases, our walls, is something that no museum could give you.
In 2013, owner Jerry Wolkoff decided it was time to move on, and that it was in his best interest to tear down this building to build a condominium complex. His decision resulted in an uproar from the graffiti arts community internationally, and protests and lawsuits ensued.
The famous Queens graffiti mecca known as 5 Points.
5 Points.
5 Points. This is old New York. This is a museum. This is history. This is a history. And I didn't even know who those people were. He's like, yo, you see that little guy right there? Those are all inspired from Dunn. And when I was in Miami, our art books were like Bible stars. This is a culture. This is a lifestyle. And if you're for this lifestyle of preserving, all it takes is scribble in your hand. Everybody scribbled their hand on this wall. Help leave it here forever. Save 5 Points, y'all.
Despite the public outcry and lawsuits in place, one night in 2014, 5 Points was painted over with a low-grade white paint. And then shortly afterward, it just disappeared overnight. Make no mistake, this community exists here in Niagara also. So I reached out to Niagara-based graffiti writer Matt Visbulis earlier this week just to hear what he thinks about it. Check this out. Did you have a chance to check it out?
I did not myself. I did not get there. I do know that the building was allocated to a large group of graffiti artists to be used as studios, and then also to paint the outside of the building and turn it into something they believed in.
And an iconic site. One thing for myself, I didn't have a chance to check it out, but it was immediately recognizable for me.
Yeah, it's been in films. It became a hallmark for New York City, and it was known as a museum, not just like art space. It was the museum of graffiti.
Yeah, and I think that that's the two sides of the coin. Is some people absolutely accept the fact that this is a version of fine art. And yes, it exists on a wall somewhere. Then there's the other side of it that's strictly property related. And, it's a piece of property that somebody does own. And, as things change, things need to be done. But what makes this story a little bit different, and I'll let you explain it.
Well, I mean, we have to look at the current state of graffiti art itself and what even art collectors and, say, Sotheby's art auction houses are doing with graffiti art. They are purchasing people's walls of your house. If you were, say, bombed by Banksy, that wall overnight became worth like $7 million. Yeah. So you have Sotheby's who will go up and put plexiglass over top of it, protect it, purchase your wall, own it outright. The other things that are happening, art collectors are stealing work off the street. Now, this sounds really strange, right? Like, we're talking about illegal work now sought after by collectors. So they're like going out there and taking off wood panels off the side of your house.
Right.
Because it's worth a fortune.
Right.
So this building in itself was thought to be derelict, worthless, right? Now we have the court even explaining to people that there's something going on here.
Yeah. Yeah, and the artists themselves tried to get an artistic distinction on that building. And that's where this becomes an issue outside of just property ownership. These pieces of art that some people may have paid a great deal of money just to even view, but let alone own. This guy actually, in some ways, owns that property and therefore, to some degree, that art. The artists tried to preserve it officially through the city, and overnight he just painted over them.
It's incredible, I mean, if in longevity wise, I mean, if you're going to build condos and stuff, I get it. However, the building itself had become priceless. Yeah, completely priceless. It had historical links to some of the best writers on the planet. Let's just say, you know what I mean, and it truly was a museum. And for people to wrap their heads around what that means, like as graffiti is coming out of the alleys, this is not something that happens in just back alleys anymore. Now we have like major galleries like showcasing full pieces inside of their galleries, like painted straight on the wall. It's not on canvas, and it gets painted over again, sticking to like a legitimate sense of, graffiti was always meant not to last. There was no time or space or inclination, especially coming from the ghettos, right? It was always just going to be gone anyway. And now something's happened. Something's really, really happened here.
Yeah, it's not like, Krylon makes archival quality paint, right?
Yeah, we're in a very different stage of, in Brooklyn, all those guys were using post-industrial materials never meant for artistic means, and now we have full-on designer paint. Manufactured tips. The reason why these guys became famous is because they created something out of nothing. The paint and the tips were never meant for art, but they created some pretty incredible stuff. Now we can create this stuff a lot easier and get the look that they had. Yeah. Just because things have been manufactured, but back then it was a very different story.
Yeah, it's these guys developed the techniques, and therefore, extremely important pieces of work. Maybe today there's a bunch of people out there that might not appreciate what was up on that wall, but 10 years down the road, as graffiti art starts to develop itself even further than it already has, those pieces of work just become exponentially more valuable and more important, culturally important. And so the owner of this building, after all of this, just this week, was now ordered to pay $150,000 to each of the artists that had work present on that building. Do you think that that's, obviously a good place to start, but do you think that's enough? Or do you think that this even has anything to do with money?
I feel like I'm fallen down the rabbit hole about this story a little bit, because I would have loved to have been there to hear the deliberation between everybody. Like, what are we going to do? How is this happening? They're really going to get awarded money, And I think brings things right into present day where graffiti artists are sought after by Nike and Pepsi to do huge ad campaigns. I mean, I've done ad campaigns myself, for example, and you have to start to realize what people really think about graffiti. They love it on the inside, even if they hate it, And these things will just keep happening. Like, I mean, I teach grade 8s graffiti these days. Yeah. And it's supported by district school boards. And there's a reason for that, if you have the time to think about it and talk about it.
Yeah, it almost seems like a lot of people are very quick to turn their heads to the elements of hip-hop. Even in hip-hop, the music form itself, at the Grammys this year, a lot of dialogue in regard to those albums not being considered the best album. The best rap albums, sure, but not the best albums. And it seems like there's a similar fight going on in the world of graffiti art. Matt, thank you so much for being on the show here today.
No problem.
If people want to check out your work, how can they find you online?
Well, I mean, if you're from St. Catharines, I've got 3 murals right downtown. I've got one in the Warp Tunnel that's just off St. Paul by Touch of India. One at the back of the Furniture Bank that was sponsored by Brock and the Downtown Association. And then also at the new event space, the warehouse in the back there, I also did murals. So there's 3 murals that you can go check out. Online, I don't really have a huge online presence for graffiti.
That's so graffiti art, man. I love that.
Calling all my people who don't know why we live, but you give more than you take and understand what you give. You see, blood is on our hands if we take the stance of indifference. Time to make plans to enhance our resistance now. I dream for a dream's not what it seemed.
Don't go anywhere, folks. We're just going to take a very quick break here. When we come back, we're going to be speaking with Eric Disckson from Warehouse Concert Hall about big-time funny guy Louis Anderson. Be right back. Welcome back to City and Culture. My name is Jacob Bergsma. Before the break, we spoke with Niagara-based graffiti writer Matt Visbulis. If you're interested in learning more about graffiti writing in Niagara, Matt's on Facebook. That's how I got a hold of him. You can reach out to him there. And of course, you can continue to listen to this show to keep up. If you'd like to speak with me, I can be reached at jacob@mrbergsma.com or at Mr_Bergsma on Twitter. If you don't want to speak with me, that's cool too. No need to send me any messages then. I know you know who I'm talking about when I say Canadian 80s new wave band The Spoons. Because I know that you know great things. And to me, this is one of those things. You don't have to be a dish to run away with these spoons. But I'm sure they would prefer it if you were. They're the Spoons! And they're coming to town.
He passes up ahead. She's losing him in romantic traffic. A place with no signs to tell you where they're going to.
I am chatting with Eric Disckson, the owner. Is that the proper title for you at Warehouse Concert Hall?
Yeah, some might say.
Owner, operator, the guy to talk to. Let's say that much.
That is true, the guy to talk to.
Hey, thanks for being on the show here today, Eric.
Yeah, no problem.
Something big happening over at Warehouse Concert Hall. This is one that kind of struck a chord with me because of a personal experience that I had recently where I was searching for a song. I heard a song on the radio. It goes like, do, 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 do. So I searched that song, and it's hard because how do you type that into a search engine?
Yeah, and you can't really sing into Shazam either. It doesn't tend to pick up the song properly.
I don't have perfect pitch. Maybe
Right.
people are surprised to learn that a rapper doesn't have perfect pitch. And so it was a little bit of a trying thing for me to try and find this song, but I eventually did. And it was a song called Romantic Traffic by Canadian new wave band Spoons.
The Spoon.
The Spoons.
Yeah.
There's a reason why I'm bringing this up, of course, and that is because it sounds like I can hear this song live at Warehouse Concert Hall if I want.
That is true. You can hear it. You can hear it live.
So what's going on with Spoons? Because, that sound specifically, that new wave sound, obviously it's had a resurgence. But this band, they formed, according to the information I'm looking at here, in 1979. This is even before new wave. So what's got them back in concert?
Well, I don't know. I think the band has been somewhat active for a couple of years. Again, I don't think that they completely disappeared as a band, but definitely there's been a resurgence of just bands that had a sort of a big popularity at a different era, and they're coming back and doing being more active more recently. So that's I think that's part of it. Is just been a revival of bands from earlier eras coming back, and the fans are more engaged, and people are going out to see live music more than they probably ever have been, and that's partly why it makes it easier for a band like that to come back. But they were not a no-name band. They did some really, really big things in Canada in the 80s, and that is clear with the turnouts for the shows they've been doing in the last couple of years.
I love seeing this second wave or third wave or however anybody wants to describe it of bands. For example, you had Teenage Head through not that long ago. Do you notice a totally different group of people come out for those kinds of shows versus what you would normally do at Warehouse Concert Hall?
Yeah, as far as what we intended to, or what we thought we might see when we first opened, there's been a lot of crowds that are different. Some of them are younger, some of them are older, but there's definitely a certain demographic of people that are coming out in larger numbers to see some of these bands that they hadn't seen in a decade or more, or sometimes bands from 70s, 80s, 90s those bands are seeing a resurgence, and that's just bringing out those people. So we definitely see a lot, seeing larger crowds of those types of people at Warehouse.
Have you done one of these second wave, new wave shows yet? And I only ask because I'm curious about the hairstyles.
I've actually caught Spoons live in Toronto a couple months ago, and so this will be our first time sort of with this type of band, I think, especially from this era in our venue. But I got to say, everyone seems to have toned it down a little bit. There's definitely some people who kind of embraced the experience of seeing a band like that, and kind of threw back some of their outfits. But I think overall, you're just seeing people who they're more so going back to that music, less than the fashion at the time.
You might see a T-shirt or something, but you won't see the full-blown Flock of Seagulls haircut.
No, you will not. You won't see that level of effort, I don't think, at the show.
So they're playing with Veranda Beach, and this is a name that's been going around. I've been seeing this name quite a bit here in Niagara. What can you tell me about Veranda Beach?
Veranda Beach is from Thorold. They're a 5-piece, I guess, sort of funky jazz band. They've got a sort of piano forward and a really great front vocalist. But yeah, they've been playing. They've kind of sprung up about a year and a half ago, I think, and have been playing some pretty big gigs. They're actually pretty ambitious a band. They've organized their own shows, some larger stuff in their hometown, and yeah, they're just sort of starting to spring out into other parts of the province with shows. But yeah, they'll be a great opener. I think they'll fit really well, and they'll definitely appeal to the crowd that's there to see Spoon.
Yeah, absolutely. Hey, it sounds like it's going to be an awesome show. I should have asked this at the beginning. People can still get tickets, right?
I think there's a couple tickets left. We're pretty close to being sold out. You might get lucky, and if it does sell out before the doors open, there's probably bound to be some people who maybe can't make it and last minute try to offload their tickets onto people. So we'll see. I think it's pretty close right now.
Cool. I know that a lot of times discussions about those tickets will happen on the Facebook event itself. So is there any kind of direction you can give anybody to get there outside of the obvious?
Well, we tend to send people to, the Facebook event because Facebook events right now are very much like a central location for information about the show. But as far as once shows are sold out, we've started to use a platform called Light, and it's actually something you'll find in the event pages when the show sells out, and it's basically like a secondary ticketing kind of platform where people who can't make it can return their tickets, and then people who need tickets can get their hands on those. And it's done in more of a secure way than like sort of handing your tickets off to someone, or just hoping that you get the legit emailed tickets to you and all that kind of thing. So we're trying to work with a new platform to try to avoid some of the like StubHub high ticket prices that you'll see on those secondary platforms.
Yeah. Is there any kind of service charge? I assume there must be a service charge for a transaction like that. What's somebody looking at?
Usually it's what you find is the person who wants to sort of return their ticket gets their full face value back, and the person who's buying a ticket might pay $5 more. The idea is that the system will actually scan where tickets are available sort of secondarily, and will actually undercut that. So this system is designed to undercut StubHub, so you're not paying twice what the ticket should be. So that's it's a little bit of a little bit of a higher price, but at the point where the show is sold out, you're probably just happy to get a ticket.
Sure, yeah. And hey, that seems pretty reasonable, but a great way to avoid having to do any of this, get those tickets right now.
Yes, and we'll always obviously have everything when we go on sale. All of our tickets are always available through our website directly, and then we've been pushing this. We've got a handful of pretty cool sold out shows, and a lot of people bummed out that they couldn't make it. So we're trying to push the pre-sale side of things just so that you don't miss out.
You can check out Warehouse Concert Hall on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. I think they're even on Snapchat too. For future events, don't go anywhere.
Fucking rap on that.
Or if you do go somewhere, don't tell me. I won't know any better.
I love words. I thank you for hearing my words. I want to tell you something about words that I think is important.
This is Jamie Goddard on the way out with Words.
Words are all we have, really.
Myth.
We have thoughts, but thoughts are fluid,
Right here on City and Culture.
And then we assign a word to a thought. And we're stuck with that word and that thought.
So be careful with words. So be careful.
So be careful with words.
So be careful. So be careful with words. So be careful.
So be careful with words.
Malfunction over fashion, drunk with all that passion, sunken ships, lungs and lips that hung a kiss so thunderous. We wondered if earth would open up from under us. Wanderlust, plunder, business before pleasure was sickness. Stardust for prints and come to grips. The glove won't fit the symptoms. Adjust the measurement, tamper with their temper tantrums, send them packing back into their cornerstone, shaking the foundation, embracing the pain for the sake of escaping that long division of labor. Multiplication tables are turned. The prodigal son will be returned to sender. His invitation must have been lost in the male gaze. Trailblaze, lead the way, finding strangers on a lively path to decay. Hey, my, what am I? Just a cliche Guevara, raging against the machine that sold me their CD. I'm all binge and no purge, ushering in an original sin in the digital age. I give it away, try to keep pirates at bay, but my heart drives a bargain. Drives a hard bargain. I'm thriving as a marksman on the mic. When I got targets, I can do it painstakingly or just spray rhymes aimlessly. It's Jamie G, blazing beats. Come on now, say it with me. I can sing it for them when they're feeling all alone. And if they wanna laugh, I can lighten up the tone. And I don't even really have a voice of my own. A people pleaser on the microphone. I'm riding up a stone like.
It just like that. Just like that. You guessed it. It's your spot for all things city and culture right here in Niagara. This is City and Culture. Thank you so much for coming back. Later in the show, I'm speaking to Michael Price about Niagara-based band Strange Shakes. And this just in, I have a copy of their brand new song. They accidentally leaked it. And now it's in my possession. Me, an evil and vindictive member of the media. Just kidding. I asked and they graciously gave it to me. Anyways, never heard before. It's coming up later in the show. Up next, though, I'm going to be speaking with First Ontario Performing Arts Centre Communications Coordinator Jordy Yack about big-time funny man Louis Anderson. Jordy, thanks for being on the show.
Jacob, thank you for being part of the show and for asking me to join you.
Hey, absolutely. It sounds like you've got some really cool stuff coming up here at the First Ontario Performing Arts Centre. Of course, there's always cool stuff going on, but you got some really big names coming up in the very near future. Who are we talking about?
You're absolutely right. Coming up tonight is one of probably the most iconic stand-up comedians of our generation, our parents' generation. I don't know, but he's widely recognized as probably the best known funny man in North America. We have Louis Anderson coming to Partridge Hall tonight. He's also my favorite Family Feud host. Is he yours?
There was a pretty short period of time that he did that, wasn't it? And now all of a sudden everybody seems to have forgotten.
I don't know how long it was, but I think I'm not like I watch Family Feud now or have for a while, but he's just the most memorable to me.
And he's certainly one of those guys that can host a show. Like, it takes a pretty interesting and different personality to be able to pull off a job like that. It seems easy, but that's because guys like Louis Anderson do it.
Yeah, oh, absolutely. And there's a lot of really cool things about Louis that I didn't realize. Well, a few things I realized, but a few things that, as we're presenting a show like this where I have, to do some research to help market the show. But he's an entirely clean comic, and I think he has been his entire life. He's been quoted by saying the only F words he says in his show are food, talking about being fat and over 50, and family. So that's really unique, I think, nowadays in the realm of stand-up comedians or stand-up comedy, where you have a 100% clean comic. So, you could bring your entire family to the show, and somebody, I think they'd all find it fairly funny.
Oh, it's a big deal. I mean, honestly, how many stand-up comedy shows can you bring your kids to? Obviously, you're welcome to do whatever you like. Each person's welcome to make their own decisions. But, you can be safe at a show like Louis Anderson. And that is very unique. I totally agree.
Yeah, and another cool thing about Louis is that he recently has, I don't want to say redefined himself, but he is doing, he's playing a mother named Christine on a TV show called Baskets. And I'm not sure, I have a feeling you may have seen it, but I don't know if our listeners would have seen it, but it's brilliant, it's perfect, and just bizarre enough.
And so hip. It's one of those shows that's been getting a lot of attention, and for all the right reasons. Zach Galifianakis, of course, is a big part of that show as well. And Louis, although it seems like a character that might be outside of his role, totally nails this role.
Yeah, the best is where I see those clips. I've only seen season 1. I need to catch up and watch the rest of it. But I love where you see these segments, or just pictures of Louis Anderson doing Aquafit as Christine in a one-piece bathing suit. It's brilliant and sort of like a little different, definitely a lot different than his stand-up. Where I feel it's fairly clean, but it's still just pushing those boundaries a bit, which make people a little uncomfortable. But I think it's hilarious because he just plays it so well. I think he says he's talked about channeling his mother a lot of the time, and he won an Emmy for his portrayal as Christine Baskets. And I think it was for Best Actor, but he could have won Best Actress.
Oh, yeah, no doubt.
I don't know how the people at the Emmy Awards decide is it just based on your gender? Even if you're playing a woman, you will win Best Actor?
That's an interesting discussion, man. Because honestly, I'm sure that's something that will come up. I mean, and for good reason. I mean, truly, if he's playing a woman, I wonder how that line is drawn there, and when it comes to awards specifically.
Yeah, initially I'm just sort of being half funny, but it's true. Like he did win Best Actor for his role as Christine. Great. So that show, we got that show coming up tonight, Saturday, February 17th.
How can people get their hands on tickets to see Louis if they want to come out tonight and check that out?
If you want to, you can purchase tickets online 24/7 at firstontariopac.ca, or you can visit our box office in person, which will be open approximately an hour before showtime. So the show's at 7:30, so you could show up. Actually, the box office will be open from noon onwards, so you can show up anytime then, or you can call our box office at 905-688-0722. And the Louis Anderson Show is $55 regular price. If you're a member, hot ticket member, it's $46. College, university students pay $25, and high school students pay $5.
That's awesome. I love that you guys do that, by the way. I remember what it was like to be in high school, man. There were shows that I couldn't attend. I just didn't have the cash in my pocket.
Yeah, and now high schoolers have 20s in their pockets. Sure.
They can go see that show 4 times.
Well,
quick math.
4 times. Yeah, there you go.
Quick math. Hey, Jordy, thank you so much for being on the show. I look forward to hopefully speaking with you again about what's going on at First Ontario Performing Arts Centre. Does that sound good to you?
Yeah, for sure. Thanks, Jacob.
Ladies and gentlemen, you might know him from Baskets. Please give it up for Mr. Louis Anderson, everybody.
I'm from a family of 11. And I know, that's what people always say, wow. Women always, wow. And I'm not the first celebrity in our house. My brother, the safecracker, he was the first celebrity. Because he was a really, pretty good safecracker. So, anyways, when you're doing that, when you have that kind of family member, they become these kind of celebrities in their own right, Like my brother brought me a brand new bike, and I never had a bike. And he'd come and he'd give my parents money. We were super poor. We were so poor that I gave my mom a coupon book for her birthday. I'll wash the dishes. I'll do the laundry. I'll kill Dad for you. Louis, you wouldn't really kill your father, would you? I would for you, Ma. There's no expiration date on the coupon. And one day I came home from school, I thought it was all over with. My dad goes, there he is, Hitman Louis. You're gonna kill me, huh, Louis? Here I am.
Catch Louis Anderson at the First Ontario Performing Arts Centre this week. It's a pretty funny region this week, though, gotta say, because it looks like if we head toward Niagara Falls, there's something tickling our bones out there, too. Funny bones. Tickling our funny bones.
Your registration? Hurry up, meow. Sorry. Is there something funny here, boy?
No.
Well, then why are you laughing, Mr. Larry Johnson? All right, meow, where were we?
I'm sorry, are you saying meow?
Am I saying meow?
I thought...
Don't think, boy. Meow, do you know how fast you were going? Meow, what is so damn funny?
I could have sworn you said meow.
Do I look like a cat to you, boy? Am I jumping around all nimbly-bimbly from tree to tree?
No.
Am I drinking milk from a saucer?
No.
Well, do you see me eating mice? Now, you stop laughing right now.
All right, I'm chatting with Rafik Guirguis from Livestock Niagara. Got some pretty cool shows coming up in Niagara Falls. Hey, Rafik, thanks for being on the show.
Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. What's going on over there, by the way? Sounds like you're having some additional fun outside of this interview.
Oh, well, I'm just trying to keep it real here. Keeping very busy, booking, keep putting together events and festivals. And
I appreciate you.
Pretty lively about it. Yeah, thanks.
Appreciate you being on the show here today because of that reason. I mean, it seems like you've really got your ear close to the ground. And how do you do that? By booking the shows yourself. That's how you do that. And today, the big topic of discussion, or at least what I'm hoping to talk about, is the show that you've got coming up with a character that I'm sure a lot of people will recognize. Can you tell us a little bit about it?
Yeah, so we are bringing down to taps on Queen Rabbit, the actor that plays Rabbit from Super Troopers, the movie. His name is Eric Stolhansky. He's coming down. He's doing a Canadian tour, and he's promoting his upcoming movie release, Super Troopers 2. And part of the comedy routine is also different bits and bites from the movie and a potential meet and greet for those who are interested in that as well.
We're just going to take a quick required break. Real quick and requiredly. Don't take off yet, hoser. We'll be right back with the rest of our interview with Rafik Guirguis, and then we're going to be speaking with Michael Price from Niagara-based band Strange Shakes, and yeah, we got the leaked track. Never heard before. We're going to be playing that just after the break. Don't go anywhere. In the meantime, this band's called Majora from Niagara. Track's called Gangster. Featured this track on the Niagara Music Year in Review. Check this out.
They shower me with all this love and riches. Keep that shit just go home. I'm never satisfied. I'm never satisfied. I'm never satisfied.
Before the break, we caught a clip of Majora's Gangster. This clip right here is from Mel Monaco's Untamable. Just catching you up. We're chatting with Rafik Guirguis about Eric Stolhan's Rabbit from Super Troopers, and we're just getting to Super Troopers. I know Super Troopers is coming out, and I would imagine this is a promotional event for the release of that. And I got to say this too, highly anticipated movie. But this is something that's at least somewhat different. Like, it's not like he's just going to get up there and talk about the movie. He's doing a stand-up comedy set.
Yes, he's part of his thing is he also does stand-up comedy. So they're kind of tying in the two together, the two different talents he has, the acting and the comedy, and using his comedy routine to promote his upcoming movie release.
When I watched Super Troopers, I was a little bit younger. The movie's been out for quite a few years now. One of the things that really struck a chord with me in my teen, angsty kind of youth was it was a little bit nasty. Got a little bit dirty from time to time. Can we expect that from his stand-up as well?
Oh, absolutely, yeah. I mean, it's not necessarily a PG show, if you know what I mean. Definitely get ready to, if you have sensitive ears, I guess this might not be the show for you.
Well said.
Yeah. So, I mean, and then we also have guest comedians on the show, Tom Garland, Travis Steele, and then local comedians David Green and Drew Hayes. So that's what we got for the lineup for that day.
That's really cool. What kind of comedy events do you guys normally do at TAPS? Or do you normally do comedy at TAPS?
We've been doing different comedy things at TAPS. It's not something we regularly do, but we dabbled in it with the David Green comedy show. We did a regular Monday routine last summer and the summer previous, and they're doing it again this summer. And this is kind of cool. It was unintentional, but this event's on a Monday, and it kind of precedes his Monday comedy routine that's coming up in a month from now. And he's on the lineup for this event. And for as far as livestock's concerned, our first comedy event was when we booked Spenny from Kenny versus Spenny.
Yes.
And that was our first kind of getting our feet wet in that field.
It must have gone well if you guys are continuing in this world, right?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, we're working with the same agency and the same particular agent, and we have a really good relationship. So
maybe there's a few people out there that haven't had a chance to get into downtown Niagara Falls. They haven't had a chance to check TAPS out just yet. I have. I'm lucky enough. I've had a chance to check it out. It's a pretty cool spot outside of the fact that you guys are doing shows there. What is it that TAPS is most known for today?
Well, TAPS is most known for their beer. They're a brew house, and they brew their Charleston Lager, which is a pre-Prohibition Charleston Lager. Back when they the pre-Prohibition beers were loaded with hops, so it's a hops-loaded lager, which is kind of rare as far as lagers go. So that's one of the things that they're known for, and the other thing that they're known for, particularly in the Niagara Falls community, is their outstanding contribution towards the community in regards to altruistic events and community fundraisers and whatnot that the venue hosts on the regular.
It sounds like it's going to be an outstanding event. You can come out, check out this beer, pre-prohibition style, original taps beer. You can check out the comedy, support Livestock Niagara. How can people learn more about both this show and what you guys are doing for Niagara Falls right now, Rafik?
You know what? It's a really easy thing. You know, we got a website up, and it's starting March 1st. It's going to be loaded with information regarding the upcoming festival for Livestock 2018 and our farmers market that we're starting. So the website is www.livestockniagara.com.
All right, I'm hanging out with Michael Price from Strange Shakes. Hey, Michael, thank you for being part of the show.
Hey, Jacob, thanks for having me, buddy.
Absolutely. One of the big challenges I've faced recently being on talk radio and talking about your band, Strange Shakes, is it's kind of hard to describe. How would you describe it?
Well, I would have to say guitar, rock, guitar, pop kind of stuff. I mean...
And what do you mean by guitar, I guess, is a good place to start?
I mean, by guitar, I mean that the guitars are very loud.
Right.
And it's very, fuzz-driven, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
But I really want to say that if you like, the Ramones and the Buzzcocks and things like that, then you might like us, but that might not even be true. So maybe mix in some Weezer in there, too.
Yeah, it's interesting because all of these points of reference are bands that I'm very familiar with. And I could say that, yeah, I guess I'm a fan, but they're not bands that have really stood out for me. Mind you, you guys absolutely do. You guys blow me away every time I see you live. And when you drop these tracks, I swear it puts me in this mind space that no other band in the world puts me in. You guys got something excellent. If I do say so myself, you've got something excellent going there.
Oh, thanks very much, Jake. I appreciate that.
I reached out to you, though, because it sounds like that sound is coming to downtown St. Catharines, Saturday, February 17th. You've got what is described as a rager to remember going on here.
Absolutely, yeah. We self-recorded some more songs that we were going to release on cassette tape at my place of work, Mate Cafe, on Saturday, as you said. The great Ben Pokel, our bassist and house renaissance man, was a mastermind behind recording it, and is also the one who does all our art and things like that. So just wanted to give him a quick shout out. None of this could happen without all his tireless work.
He does such a great job. One of the things that attracted me to the band right out the gate is you guys might be one of the best branded bands out of Niagara I've ever seen. And yeah, I'm including bands like Alexis on Fire and Rush. You guys, it sounds like I'm really puffing you guys up here right now, and I'm catching myself on it. But seriously, you guys really look fantastic with the branding that you put together so far.
Well, thanks. I mean, if you ever spent a day listening to Ben and I talk, most of it is about look at this art we like, and just kind of like talking about things like that. So when putting ourselves in a band again was definitely a fun position to get to stretch our creative minds and kind of make what we want constantly kind of thing and have a reason to do it. So it's been a lot of fun.
I love how you guys are so relentlessly about the art. And of course, music is an art form, but it shows, you guys are a full package. The aesthetic is a part of what you guys are trying to portray. And I think that it's working. When can these guys catch you? If they want to come out to Mate on February 17th, what time should they get there?
Well, we're bringing down our fantastic friends from Kitchener called Highness. They're opening up the show at about 8:30. They're releasing a new EP as well. Another band that if you like, loud guitar rock bands like, Brian Jonestown Massacre, Weezer, things like that, definitely come out and check them out. So it'll be 8:30 for them, and then about 9:30 for us.
Awesome. And what song are we going to listen to here, just to let these fine folks in Niagara let them know what Strange Shake sounds like?
Well, we're going to listen to our newly recorded single, Worn Feet, off our upcoming cassette single, named the same, Worn Feet.
I've been
for listening.
Kids, if you want to piss off your parents, show interest in the arts.
If you'd like to reach out to me for inquiries, Mr._Bergsma on Twitter, Jacob at MrBergsma.com on the emails.
Kids, if you really want to piss off your parents, buy real estate in an imaginary place.
I gotta make like a tree and get out of here.